Please pump your brakes. Your video will begin momentarily. Hi everyone, and right now we're going to be doing our spoiler review for the movie Upgrade, starring Logan Marshall Green, directed by Leigh Whannell, and the movie came out on June 1st, so if you haven't had a chance to see it but you plan on seeing it, this is your chance to go ahead and back out of this video. Do not watch it because it's going to have spoilers. We're going to be talking about everything that happened in the movie and giving away that crazy ending. Alright, you've had your chance. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. This movie, I was a little skeptical at first because the movie's only like an hour and a half long, but Logan Marshall Green, in the movie, character's name is Gray, and movie opens up with him, working on an old muscle car, and the movie takes place in the future. So, a lot of people have these self-driving automated cars now. And, he's working on it, goes in, cranks it, starts up beautifully. His wife comes home, she works for a big tech company called Cobalt. And, he tells her, hey, finished working on the car. I need you to come with me because he's got to go drop it off to his buyer. And obviously someone has to come with him so that they could drive him back. So they go deliver the car to his buyer, who in the movie's name is Aaron, and is like the owner of a huge tech company. So when the wife realizes, she's taken back because, wow, it's like an idol, so to speak. So she says how, her company is just working on small stuff, but they're doing good. And he says, no, you're not. And that's when he shows them his latest and greatest creation, STEM. A chip that basically is a newer, better brain for your body. So, of course, his wife, Gray's wife, is, intrigued by it. Gray's kind of skeptical, kind of like a Will Smith character from iRobot, where not big on technology. That's not his thing. He's more old school. That's why he drives these old school muscle cars. So they're on their way home, and they're in their automated car. It's doing the driving for them. And all of a sudden the car takes like a detour, goes a different way, ends up in Gray's old neighborhood. They try to stop it because now the car's just speeding through. It's not going home. It's like the car's been hacked. And they get into an accident. And then they're pulled out by these 4 thugs. And, these thugs, they detain Gray, they kill his wife, and they shoot him in the neck. So now he's paralyzed from the neck down. So he's in the hospital for 3 months, basically, just kind of recouping and adjusting. And he gets out of the hospital, he comes home. They're showing him how, because it's in the future, everything's, tech-based and technology runs a lot. How these new things in the house can make his meals, make his drinks, give him his medicine, everything. Because now he's a quadriplegic. He can't move anything from the neck down. And, he's there. His mom is caring for him, kind of almost on her spare time because she's not there 24/7. But they go to the police station and they meet with the detective that's going over the case. Now, there are drones that fly overhead and record virtually everything at all times. Possibly what could be happening in today's world, but that's a different subject. And they have footage of the accident, the murders, the assault, everything. But the images are a little blurred, and the four assailants don't have... The drone can't register them, almost like they don't have an IP address, speaking in computer terms. So the cops are kind of nowhere with it, just interviewing witnesses, but they're really going nowhere. So Gray's upset. He's back home. He's depressed. You know, he lost his ability to do his job, you know, working on cars. He lost his wife. He's down in the dumps. And, you know, he's just there, ready for bed, goes to take his medicine, and the machine does not deliver his medicine. And he ends up having like an attack and is rushed to the hospital. While in the hospital, Aaron comes to see him, the buyer of the car, the big tech genius, and offers him a chance to be able to get a second lease on life. Gray's a little hesitant, says, you know, he's not looking for the start button, he's looking for the end button. And on Aaron's way out, he stops and says, "What would your wife want?" Kind of gets Gray like, man, she'd probably want me living my best life. So he decides, let's go with it. Let's have STEM implanted in my body. So he has it done. He has to sign a non-disclosure agreement so that he can't tell anyone about STEM or the fact that he's able to walk again. Because this is, you know, he's like a guinea pig. It's not really FDA approved, so to speak. So he's like a lab rat. So he signs the non-disclosure and goes home. Has to still act like a quadriplegic, so he's in his wheelchair. Once he's in the safety of his home, gets up, starts walking around. Grabs the files of the case and starts going over everything. Looking at the drone footage, looking at all the files, the autopsy, everything. And all of a sudden he hears a voice in his head. And it freaks him out, like, whoa, 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 what's happening? Turns out STEM is also artificial intelligence and is having a conversation with Gray and wants to kind of help him with this investigation. At first, again, Gray is hesitant, reluctant with technology, but realizes, hey, this might help me catch my wife's murderer. If the cops aren't going to do it, I'm going to do it. So he starts listening to STEM. STEM leads him to one of the attacker's house, and Gray breaks in, and the guy comes home. And the fight that ensues, I mean, the guy's ex-military. He's beating the crap out of Gray. And then Gray asks STEM for help. And STEM takes over, controls his body, and literally annihilates the guy. Just done. So STEM ultimately kills the attacker. So now it's a crime scene. So Gray has to kind of cover his tracks and erase any trace that he was there. And STEM helps him with that, because STEM's recorded everything that Gray has touched, everywhere he's been. So, you know, he goes back home. A little while later, he gets a visit from the detective, who's, you know, investigating this case now and is intrigued. That's Gray's old neighborhood. This guy, gets killed. And there's drone footage of Gray in his wheelchair in the neighborhood moments before the attack happens. And there's also a boot imprint that was left. So she's there. She's trying to just have a casual conversation with Gray about his muscle car. She checks out his boots casually and, is questioning him. But ultimately, he's like, hey, I've got an alibi. Quadriplegic. I can't move. There's no way I did this. He was in the neighborhood to help out the cops because the cops asked for his cooperation. So from the first guy's house, they went through his messages. They got a lead on a second location. So Gray goes there. And he ends up finding a second assailant. The guy ends up wheeling him into the bathroom to ultimately, teach Gray a lesson. But again, STEM takes over, takes out all the guys, tortures the assailant to the point where now Gray can ask the assailant questions. Who paid them? Who else was involved? And the guy's going to answer. So he gets his information, and it turns out that Aaron, the creator of STEM, has been tracking STEM. Knows that Gray was there at that house where the murder took place. Has threatened to shut STEM down if Gray doesn't be an ideal patient, so to speak. So with that tracking technology, he finds out Gray is now here and what's going on. He tries to shut STEM down. STEM has already created a countermeasure for this. So he's gone on the deep web, found a hacker that can overwrite the code and kind of keep him going. So now it's a race against time. Can Gray make it to the hacker before Aaron shuts him down? And he gets to the door and he's completely shut down. He can't move. The hacker gets there, opens the door, drags him in, does the code, the hack, whatever. And, while the hacker's there working their magic, the two other assailants show up at the bar where Gray tortured and killed the second assailant. They go in, they're enhanced also robotically. They track the guy's memory, they find out who did it, where he is right now, so they go after him. So while the hacker's there, breaking the code, looks in the monitors and sees, hey, there's guys on the way. Finishes, packs up, leaves. Gone. Gray now has to basically reboot so that he's able to move again. The two assailants show up. Gray all of a sudden just kind of, he's like crawling away because he's got partial movement. They grab him. They're, basically getting ready to kill this guy. And STEM reboots. Fight ensues. And unbelievable. Gray's on the run. The two guys split up to try to track him. And it turns out Aaron also found out where Gray was. So he sent his own security guys there. So the main assailant, the character's name is Fisk, ends up waiting for Aaron's security to show up in the elevator and he kills them. While off on the roof, Gray's trying to escape and the other guy's after him. Fight ensues. Again, Stem says, I cannot allow us to die, because if you die, I die. Can't have it. So he ends up, basically blowing this guy's head off. And it was just, it's kind of a lot to take in for Gray, because now there's been, these murders, and he's technically committed them, even though Stem was controlling his body. So he hasn't slept in like 2 days. He's tired. He's done. He goes home, walks in his house, and his mother is standing there and is shocked to see him walking, because he left his wheelchair back when he was losing the ability to move. He kind of had to get his way up to the 5th floor of this building. Couldn't use his wheelchair for that. So the mother's like, tell me what's going on. He explains everything to her. The surgery, Stem, how he's able to walk now. And he, he's having second thoughts. Stem wants to complete the mission. Gray says, no, I'm going to rest. I need sleep. A little while later, the mother knocks on the door. In walks the detective. Found his wheelchair by the crime scene of the other guy that was killed, and, has some more questions for him. While she's asking him these questions, he's just laying in bed, pretending he can't move. She plants a bug in his jacket. And, ultimately, he still has his alibi. I'm paralyzed. I can't do anything. I'm here. So the detective has nothing. She leaves. Stem wants to finish the job. And Gray says, no. We're not going to do it. I'm done with this. Ultimately, Stem takes over Gray's body. And basically is like, no, we're doing this. Because if we don't go find this last guy, the last guy's going to find us and kill us. And again, I'm not going to allow you to die, because then I die. So Stem takes over. Stem goes, basically, gets in the car, is driving to Fisk's apartment, ultimately to kill him. But the whole time, Gray's having a conversation with Stem, and the police officer, the detective, is listening in, because she planted that device in his jacket. And now she's following him. So it's a crazy car chase. Ultimately, Stem ends up hacking one of the automated cars, having it crash into the cop's car, because the cop's car, she's old school also. It's not robotic, so it can't be hacked, it can't be stopped, it's just going the same way Gray's muscle car is. And so now she's out of the chase. They go to Fisk's, and they go at it. Fisk doesn't want to hurt Gray, because Gray is now enhanced the same way Fisk is. Fisk is enhanced robotically. And ultimately, they end up fighting, going at it. Stem can't outwit Fisk and ask Gray for help this time. So Gray kind of plays on Fisk's emotions. And that's how they gain the upper hand. They kill Fisk. The 4 guys are dead. But now they got to find out who was behind it. Who paid them to go after him because Fisk disclosed Gray was the target. And they weren't meant to kill him, they were meant to just paralyze him. And his wife was just a bonus. So he checks Fisk's messages and, plants the little Bluetooth device in his ear, listens to the messages. Here's a message from Aaron to Fisk. And now it's like, wow, the guy who put this thing in my neck, who I built this car for and delivered it to him, is the one who had my wife killed and me paralyzed. So he shows up to Aaron's place. Walks in. Aaron's just distraught, emotional wreck. And turns out the detective is there. After the accident, she went back to Gray's place, talked to the mother. The mother told the detective everything about the surgery, Aaron. So the detective went there. So now she's waiting for Gray. And, Stem kind of is still in control of Gray. Takes out the cop, kind of disarms her. And during this scene, Stem grabs a gun and is going to kill Aaron. And Aaron discloses that he hasn't been in charge of his company for years. Stem was the one in charge. Stem is the one that hacked the car, that got them in the accident. Stem wanted to be put into somebody. And because Gray was so against technology, he had no implants in him or anything, robotic. So it was a perfect subject for Stem to be implanted in. So Stem set everything up for Gray to be his host. So Stem ends up killing Aaron and going to try to kill the detective now. And Gray's like, no. He's fighting Stem the whole way. Not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do this. You're wrong. I'm in charge. It's my body. Ultimately, he takes the gun, points it to his neck, the back, and just pulls the trigger. Ultimately ending Stem. Next scene, boom. Gray wakes up in a hospital. Still in one piece, able to move. His wife is there. She's happy to see him. And she explains, hey, we were in an accident. You've been out for a few days. And it just blows your mind. He was in a hospital the whole time. None of this really happened. This was his imagination. Oh my God, they got me. No. Cuts back to Aaron's place. Gray is still there with the gun. And the detective's trying to talk Gray out of it. Gray, this isn't you. You're not going to do this. You're not a murderer. And Stem explains Gray's mind has cracked. He's done. Stem has now basically taken Gray, what's left of him mentally, and put him in this virtual world where he's there with his wife and he can live happy. Stem is now in full control of Gray. Gray's not there anymore. It's just Stem. Raises the gun, kills the detective, and walks away. This movie, man, those twists, as I said in my non-spoiler review, there have only been 2 movies that I can think of offhand that I could not predict. That the ending was just like, what? One of them was Ex Machina, where the whole time, you know, you're thinking, oh, she's just trying to escape, she's being punished and tortured, and no. She kills her master, basically traps the guy that was interviewing her, who started to have feelings for her. She plays on those emotions, traps him, and gets away. Didn't see that coming. Second movie that did that to me, Repo Men, where Jude Law, and Forest Whitaker, they repossess people's organs when they can't pay. And, throughout the movie, the ending, you're like, man, yeah, he's getting them. He's getting back. He's going to be fine. He's going to keep everything. And it turns out, no. He had an accident like midway through the movie, and the rest of it has just been in his mind. His own imagination going to work. None of it happened. It's like they took those two twists and put them in this one movie to blow everyone's mind, throw you way off. Oh my God. 95 minutes long. I am so glad I spent that time. No regrets. We'll go see it again. The movie is just that good. I recommend you check it out if you haven't. You probably already know what happened if you've seen this whole video. But hey, some people don't mind spoilers or don't mind knowing what happens. They go in, form their own opinion, and enjoy it. So, hey, check it out. You won't be disappointed. But that's it for this spoiler review. You can find me on Instagram, simply at Christopher Lafont. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. And share these videos with your friends. So, until next time, take care.